Hari Om Nanna.
Hari Om Tali. So everything okay?
Amma kela undi?
Bhagwan. Rompa tagin.
Okay.
View full screen. Okay. Bhananda, my audio is okay for you?
Yes, audio is fine.
To publish in a PDF, I've got my own on the laptop. I opened that and browsed that. Somehow I could not open the PDF. Download blocked on a stone.
Oh, and never mind, I will share the screen.
Okay.
So it will be there.
Now I am saying this is in case the other participants also have the same download blocked problem. You ask Prem to look at it.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that.
Yeah.
We can start, Nanna.
Yeah. Who are the other two?
You can get started.
Okay. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhe Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantao Punah Punah Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam. Yeah, we can start with the questionnaire. And afterwards we can get to Bhagavan Ramana's 42 verses.
Yes, Nanna. So I think Suma, you had a question, right? Sumaji, you can ask your question.
I am unable to remember that question now. I've been thinking about it last 2 days, but I simply can't remember what was the question.
Okay, I remember the question. Let me put it out to Nanna.
Thank you.
The question was, Danavas are born to Danu and Kashyapa. Then who is the mother of, who are the parents of Manavas? That was your question. Where are the Manushyas born from, right?
Yes, thank you.
That was one of your question. I don't know whether you had another one, but this one question I remember.
Yeah, only this one. Thank you.
Nanna, you got the question?
I got the question.
Yeah.
I would like to repeat it for the sake of clarity for Suma. She was saying Danavas have a mother in Danu, and who is the mother for Manavas? In bygone days, there was the first Manu, Swayambhuva Manu. He had a wife whose name is Shatarupa. Shata means 100. 100 rupa. That is 100 different forms she could assume. This 100 is only an indicative figure. It could be Sahasra Rupa. It could be. And both are Brahma Manasa Putras. Swayambhu Manu Brahma Manasa Putra and Shatarupa also Brahma Manasa Putri. And both have a lot of power. And these two, they became wife and husband, and they were the progenitors for mankind. The Manava came from that Swayambhuva Manu. Not only Manava, all kinds of species have come out from this couple. If you remember, there was a Prajapati, Kardama Prajapati. He became the son-in-law for this couple. This couple had a daughter, Devahuti, and she was given in marriage to that Kardama Prajapati. And this couple, this younger couple, they begot the Avatara Purusha Kapila, Vishnu Avatara Purusha Kapila, who taught Atma Vidya to his mother. That is how the Mahabharata story goes. Even the Bhagavatam Puranas story go like that. Did I answer you, Suma? So
Yes,
Manava,
Nanaji, thank you so much.
Shatarupa as the mother.
Shatarupa, yeah, okay.
So
Thank you
all
so
of
much.
us must be very, very happy. Our mother, who was capable of assuming a lot of forms. Our mother of olden days. Okay. Any other question?
Bela, I think you had some questions, right?
Yeah, Hari Om Nanaji. Hari Om.
Hari Om Talli.
Nanaji, the question got already answered actually over the period, but still I have one observation that over the, whoever rishis and rishi patni, so we always see the positive and negative. That's what I have observed, whether it is Diti ji and Aditi ji, or whether it is Kadru and Vainata, or whether it is Vinata. So it is always a wedding between the positive and negative. So we have to choose between the positive. Like if we inculcate the negative tendencies, then we give birth to the negativities, that is asuras. And if we inculcate the positivities, then we give birth to the positive devaswarupas. So this is what is my observation. And so in our lives also, the role of mother is very, very, very important. That's what I realized, that the mother is another creativity, another form of creation. And the swadharma of mother, that's what I just had when I was observing all the Rishi Patnis, Nanaji. So the little confusion over there I had. And this is what is my observation. Am I correct in my observation?
You are right. Your observation is right. Look at it this way. The wives of Kashyapa, they were all the daughters of who? Daksha Prajapati. And these 13 wives he had begotten, they're all mutual sisters. They're all born to the same parents, Daksha Prajapati and his wife. And these people, the pairs especially, Diti, Aditi, Danu, Vinata, Kadruva. Vinata was known to be very noble. Aditi was known to be noble, whereas Diti was the opposite. Kadruva was the opposite of Vinata. That is indicative of the pairs of opposite qualities in each one of us. We will have to combat the negativities and come up trumps with the positive qualities and make an effort to improve the positive qualities to an extent that the negativity will never trouble us again. That is the import of the stories from the Puranas and the epics. Okay,
And
Bella?
also, yeah, Nanaji, and also I just had like Dvandva Samasa. So is it this both Dvandva Samasa, is it the positive and negative both? Is it that way God is saying when he's in his Vibhuti, he said Dvandva Samasa. So Samasa, I still do not know the grammatically what it is exactly, but I just got that it is this and this also. Dvandva means. So is it Bhagavan is saying positive and negative both?
No, not really. Dvanda Samasa is not depicting positive and negative things. Like in the 4th chapter, Imam Rajarshayo Viduhu. That is what Bhagavan Ketaya said. Imam means this Atma Vidya. Rajarshayo Viduhu. Rajarshi is a Dvanda Samasa. Raja is a positive attribute of a being who is the head of all the mankind in his country, and Rishi is no mean person. Rishi is perhaps much better venerated than even the Raja. And Rajanam cha Rushayaha, that is the meaning. The meaning of the Dvanda Samasa is twofold. One is the kings knew this, and the rishis also knew this. Rajanam cha Rushayaha. The kings and the rishis knew this. The other meaning is Rajaha te Rushayaha. The kings who are themselves rishis, like Janakadayaha, like Ashwalayanaha, all these. The king who is himself a rishi, there is no negativity in any of these. Rama Lakshmana, where is the negativity? That is a Dvanda Samasa.
Yeah,
Is it not?
okay.
I can
Yes,
just
yes,
add
Nanaji.
Okay.
Dvandva there is because there are two words that are combined. That is the Dvandva. It does not mean pairs of opposites.
Okay.
Correct? And the samasa, what Swamiji had explained, there are different kinds of samasas in Sanskrit grammar. The Dvandva samasa is the one where both the words are equal. They have equal importance. So that is, I think that is the reason why I think Bhagavan chose Dvandva samasa of all the samasas. In the PDF, there are two other different samasas he mentions.
I'll tell you what. Kitaya, to cater to the whims and fancies of Arjuna, who had requested Kitaya, please let me know in what all I can see you and think of you and meditate on you. And earlier Bhagavan said what? As early as the 7th chapter, what did Bhagavan say? Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Everything is woven by my being. Matta parataram nanyat. If Arjuna understood that very, very clearly, Vibhuti Yogam would not have been there. That chapter itself would not have been there. But apparently, as though Arjuna understood what Bhagavan said, in that Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya, not only that, continuing, Bhagavan said in the 9th chapter, Maya Tatamidam Sarvam Jagadavyakthamurtina Mastani Sarvabhutani Nachaham Teshvavastita. All these things. Everything is from out of me. That means what? Vibhuti, where is the need for Arjuna to get to know in what all forms and in what all rupas he needs to think of Bhagavan and meditate on him? Where was the need? So it was as though Arjuna kind of half understood what Bhagavan has said. And for the sake of his own clarity, he wanted Vistarena Atmanvatsan Vibhutim cha Janardana Bhuyaha Kathaya. Again, please tell me. Bhuyaha Kathaya means, again, please tell me means, earlier you have said in the form of Matta Parataram Nanyata. All this. See, this is very common, and especially in the Atma Vidya. See, whenever we attend any class, when the lecturer keeps on talking about some very potent topic, it looks as though we understood. But after the lecturer passes on to another topic, what he has said earlier has become evanescent in our mind. That is when the lecturer says, any doubts, then we don't know enough to express our doubt also, because we understood what he said earlier, but we don't have the clarity even to make a question out of it. Am I right? This kind of
absolutely right. Yes, Anaji, absolutely right. We are when we are going through the your explanation, it is like it is so easily digestible, like keshari halwa. We are able to eat gulp.
Very right.
But when yes, very true, Nanaji.
Yeah, that is why regarding Atma Vidya, you have to again and again and again listen to the lessons. Kaunena Shravanam Kuryat. Punaha Punaha Eva Shravanam Kuryat. You have to listen to this again, again, and again. Why you have to listen to this again and again? You know you are a lady. Do you know that you are not just a lady? That you are a Purusha? Purusha does not mean a male. Purusha means Purau Ushati iti Purushaha. The one who is resident in this Pura, in this city called the Deha. In the Deha, whoever is resident is called Purusha. Are you not resident in your Deha? Then are you not Purusha? And this Purusha is said to be Atma. And you know that you are just a lady, you are just a mother, you are a wife, you are a friend, and you are a neighbor. Apart from this, what else do you know? And Shastra says, hey, you are none of these. These are the roles that your body has adopted. You are the indweller of the body, Shariri. You are the Shariri. You are not the Shariram. And Shariram keeps on changing. Vasam Sijirnani Yatha Vihaya. Navani Grunhati Naroparani. Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Girnani. Anyani Samyati Navani Dehi. This Dehi, who is the Shariri, who is the Jiva, he keeps on assuming different bodies. Whenever one body is kind of worn out, this Dehi, who is Dehi Nityam Avadhyoyam Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. All these things are mentioned by Kitaya. And all these things we as though understand, but we forget the spirit of what Kitaya has said. That is why Paunena Shravanam Kudyat. You have to keep on studying the Gita throughout your life. As long as this life lasts, as long as we have the bhavana that we are the Shariram, as long as we do not have the bhavana that we are the Shariri, we will have to keep on making an attempt to listen again and again to Atma Vidya, the great lessons. There's no escape. Because our samskara keeps on dragging us to the point that we are the Shariram. Is it not? And we cater to the Shariram. If we get a little bit of cough, we keep running to the doctor. Why? The cough is for what? Shariram or Shariri? Shariri is not bothered by the cough. The Shariram is bothered. And because you are keen on keeping your Shariram very, very nice, intact, you run to the doctor. Are you not catering to the Shariram? Are you catering to the Shariri as much as you cater to the Shariram? When I say you, I include myself. All of us are in the same boat, traveling together, unable to know what our destination is. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare, krupaya apare, pahimurare. Hey Kitaya, please take care of all of us. Please take care of me. That must be the constant prayer. It must be the constant prayer, not once in a while prayer, not when you are just in the puja room prayer. That is the beginning, and it shall never end. That's how it is. Any other question?
Yes, Nanaji. Hari Om, Nanaji.
Thank you.
Myself, Savita. I wanted, like you were saying, that you have to be in that prayer all the day. But maybe due to our vrittis or lack of abhyasa, lack of vairagya, we are not able to be in that bhakti or that naam smaran mode, because we still lack that that feeling for the Ishvara. Is it because of that we have to still work up upon ourselves? We do not remember, like when we are praying or we are in this class or we have some trouble, then we remember the Ishvara. But when we are doing our daily jobs, then we do not remember him. That thing I was like thinking over. So how to inculcate that, though I do the japa also, but the japa also goes away sometimes. It is not persistent. This query I had in my mind.
Yeah, that's because of our samskaras. Our samskara is such that we remember Kitaya just for a while. We don't remember him all the time. And the thought of Kitaya and the thought of what all he taught will be with us for a little while. It is not there all the time. Not only that, in whatever we do, it is not, our actions are not guided by what Kitaya has taught. Like he has taught in the Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, what all he said? Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashihi nirmamo bhutva yujyasva vigatajvaraha. And the same thing he has said in so many other ways in other chapters also. When we are amidst activity, do we remember this sloka? Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa. Okay, you must have the desire to lift yourself up by yourself. Adhyatma chetasa. Uddharedatmanatmanam na atmanam avasadayet was the Prabodha in the 6th chapter. Are we remembering all these things? If we do not remember, what we have to do? Again in the 6th chapter, Bhagavan said what? Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha dukhyate. You must practice. You must be at it all the time. You must You must develop a desire to do the Nama Smarana of Kitaya, to do the Smarana of what all he taught, and conform to that. Important thing is our desire to conform to what he taught. Otherwise, what he taught will be just an input to us, and we don't practice that. That does not help. So the one sure way of bettering our lives, Adhyatma lives, is Abhyasa. Abhyasena cha kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. There is no other way. Because that is the only way to kind of polish our samskaras. Our samskaras are such as that we do the japa for a while, and that we do meditation for a while, and afterwards we have forgotten. And Bhagavan's prabodha is what? Try to look that I am in everything. Sarvabhutastham atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshena. Sarvatra. Okay, at all times, in all places, in all beings. Samavastu darshanaha. And what is that samavastu? Kittaya eva. Simple. Atma eva. That must be our attempt. Okay, when we make that attempt, then like it was mentioned in the Vibhuti Yoga towards the end, what was mentioned? Yajyat vibhuti matsattam srimadodjitameva va tattadeva vagachatvam mama tejongsha sambhavam. Why are you asking for my vibhutis? I'm in everything. My glories are everywhere. There is nothing which is bereft of me. Buddhi buddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam. All these things have been earlier mentioned in the 7th chapter. And in Vibhuti Yoga, because Arjuna asked, Bhagavan has gone on to enumerate. Otherwise, Vibhuti Yoga has perhaps no place in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Ji?
Yeah, thank you, Nanna ji.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Ramana, can we...
One question. How are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm okay.
Very, very nice to listen to your voice. Very nice. Long time since we have talked to each other. Very good.
You should come more often, Nana.
What is that?
You should join more often.
Okay. Yeah, I will try. I will try.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ramana, can we open Bhagavan Ramana's?
Yes.
42
Any other questions anybody else
There
has?
are no other questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you increase the font? Yeah. Yeah. All of you can read this?
Yes.
All of you can read. Is it not?
Yes, yes. We are able
Good.
to see. I mean, I'm able to see. I'm not sure you are able to, all of you are able to see also.
Yes, yes. You can see that. But if you can increase the view from you, you can make it bigger. Yeah, this is okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, this is better. Yeah. Okay,
Now,
Nanna.
Yes.
yeah. Now, can any of you read this? couple of pages. Afterwards, after 2 pages, somebody else to take over. Like that, this compilation by me, it comprises 34 pages. To my mind, it does not take even a week for you to do the manana of this kind of. Okay? So can somebody start reading the first couple of pages?
Yeah. Vila, do you want to start? Okay, I will start, Nanna.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Brahmaraj.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
Hari Om. I hope my voice is not breaking. Kindly let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know in case that.
Yeah. At the outset, I must thank Srimati Fani Mala, my younger brother's daughter, for being the prime mover for this humble attempt. And as a result, this article is prepared and offered at the lotus feet of the great master of Arunachala. An attempt is made to present the essence of Dwichavarimshat, 42 verses selected from the Bhagavad Gita. Henceforward, Gita by Bhagavan Sri Ramana, who is referred henceforward as Bhagavan Ramana, and Bhagavan Sri Krishna is referred to simply as Bhagavan. The referral to Sri Krishna as Bhagavan would also be in line with the Gita, where one would find Shri Bhagavan Uvacha whenever Lord Krishna spoke. For the sake of brevity, the prefix Shri is omitted. It is to be understood that except for the first verse, chapter 2, verse 1, which is by Sanjaya, and this is mentioned, all other verses in this article are by Bhagavan, not mentioned. In order to cater to the ardent lovers of the Gita.
Balaji. Now, did you understand the last sentence? It is to be understood that except for the first verse of chapter 2, which is by Sanjaya, all other verses are by Bhagavan, which is not mentioned. That is understood, isn't it?
Yes, Nanna, very clear.
41 verses, it is a Bhagavan Uvacha, and that Bhagavan is Kitaya.
Yes.
Not Bhagavan Ramana. Okay.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. In order to cater to the ardent lovers of the Gita, the verses are aligned with the ascending chapters of the Gita and are arranged to enable coverage of Bhagavan Ramana's favored verses of the Gita in 4 separate parts of this article. Parts 1 in the bracket 12 verses and part 2 in bracket 10 verses together cover the first Shataka, that is the 6 chapters of the Gita, and part 3 in bracket 9 verses and part 4 11 verses in bracket cover the second and third Shatakas respectively of the Gita. It is considered that the Gita is a commentary of the Tattvam Asi Mahavakya of the Chandogya Upanishad of the Samaveda, and also considered that where did it go?
Here.
And also,
I'm going to pull it up. Yeah. It's in the second line. And also consider that the first represents.
It is considered that the Gita is a commentary of the Tattvam Asi Mahavakya of the Chandogya Upanishad of the Samaveda, and also considered that the first Shatka represents Tvam, you. The second Tat, that, in bracket, and the third Asi, in bracket, are padas of the Mahavakya. So the first Shatka represents Tvam, that is you. The second Tat, that is that. And the third Asi are padas of the Mahavakya. Thus, it can be seen that parts 1 and 2 together having 22 verses constitute the first Shatka, which is representative of the Tvam Pada Lakshyartha. Lakshyardha. How all of us are so dear to Bhagavan Ramana is obvious from the lion's share of Dwichavarimshat occupied by Tvam. Bhagavan Ramana is exhorting us to concentrate on the first Shatka as it were. The Tatparya of each shloka is borrowed from the Gita for home study set of books by Swami Dayananda of the Arsh Vidya Gurukulam. The Tatparya of the mantras of the Mandukya and Katha Upanishads is based on the books from the Sri Ramakrishna Mission. The transliteration of the shlokas and the mantras is done by me. All errors and excesses in this article are my contributions for which I may be pardoned. If this article turns out to be beneficial, then it would simply be the grace of Bhagavan Ramana. The Dwichavarimshat verses are listed herein. The list for each part starts with the serial number of the 42 verses, followed by the first line of the verse and ending with the chapter number of the Gita and its verse number in the bracket after a dash. The lists are as follows. So there is part 1 and the list is as follows. The first, Tam Tadha Kripaya Vishtam Ashru Purna Kulekshanam.
Hari Om. It is difficult to read the transliteration of Sanskrit, very difficult. Balaji, if you do not mind, these parts 1 through 4, I will simply run through and later on leave the text to you, okay?
Yeah, Dhanyavad Nanaji. So
it will be easy because I've been in and through this. This transliteration is done by me. It's easy for me to read.
Yes, and you by heart, I mean, yeah, Nanaji, Dhanyavad.
Parts 1 and 2 together constitute the first Shatka, the first 6 chapters of the Gita. Part 1 takes care of chapters 1 through 3, and part 2 takes care of chapters 4 through 6. Okay, these numbers on left side, extreme left side, these are the serial numbers, the simple serial numbers, and the serial numbers end up with 42, which has been the pick of Bhagavan Ramana of these 42 verses. Dwichavarimshat. Incidentally, from the Ramana literature, I understand Bhagavan Ramana's first pick of the Gita slokas is not as indicated here. Tam tadha krupaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam. No. What he has picked is from the Vibhuti Yoga. Ahamatma gudakesha sarvabhutashayaschitaha. I believe he liked that so well. That was the first pick. And later on, some 41 other verses followed. And all those things have been put in some order for us to understand. This order is, this left side is simple serial number. And this middle is the first line of the sloka. This extreme right is, this 2 is the chapter number. This -1 is the sloka number of the chapter. 2:1 means chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga, and the first sloka, which was uttered by Sanjaya. Sanjaya Uvacha, Tam Tada Krupaya Vishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam. That is what he has said. Okay. Next verse. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Next. Adinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam. Then najayate mriyate va kadachit. Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo sukshyayeva cha. Yatasya hi dhruvo mrityuho dhruvam janmamrutasya cha. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan pardhamanogatan. Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumam charati nispruhaha. Yes sarvatra. Yastvatmaratidev syat atmatruptasya manavaha. Naiva tasya krute nadho nakrute neha kasyana. Indriyani paranyahuhu indriyebhya param manaha. Evam buddhehe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmana. Yeah. The selection of the verses. From in the part 1, from chapter 1, nothing was selected by Bhagavan Ramana. From chapter 2, he has selected 8 verses. Chapter 3, 4 verses. So 8 and 4 together is 12. Part 1 is 12. Part 2 is 10 totally. And part 2 takes care of chapters 4 through 6. Now chapter 4 begins here. That's the serial number. You will see here, the part 1 ended with serial number 12. The part 2 has started with the next serial, 13. This goes on till 42, okay? Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa vajjitaha. This is from chapter 4, sloka 19. Yadrucha labha santushtaha dvandvadito vimatsaraha. Yathaidhamsi samidhogni bhasmasvat kurute arjuna. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparaha samyatendriyaha. Jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashitamatmanaha. Kama krodha viyuktanam yatinam yatachetasam. Yatendriya mano buddhihi munihi moksha parayanaha. Shanaihi uparamet buddhya dhruti gruhitaya. Yato nischarati manaha chanchalam astiram. Sarvabhutastamatmanam sarvabhutani chatmane. Okay. And in this part 2, the number of verses selected by Bhagavan Ramana, from chapter 4, he has picked up 4 verses. Chapter 5, 3 verses. Chapter 6, 3 verses. That's all. He picked up at random, kind of. That is what he liked. Somebody in the ashram must have started reading the Gita to him and requested Bhagavan Ramana, please say what are the best slokas you like. And Ramana has picked up those 42 verses. That's how it is. Part 3 takes care of second Shaka. Now, part 2 ended with 22, isn't it? Part 1, 12. Part 2, 10. 12 plus 10, 22. This is 23, part 3. Tesham jnani nityayuktaha eka bhaktir visishyate. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapajyate. Avyakto ksharayityuktaha tamabhu paramam gatim. You people understand, when I pick the first word of this line, the rest I know. The rest I know kind of by heart, or by my having the Gita read every day. The rest of the things I am not reading really. When I say Avyakto-kshara, the rest of the things I am reading from my memory. Avyakto-kshara ityuktaha tamahu paramam gatim. Ananya stintayanto mam ejana paryupasate. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Tesham evanukampardam ahamajnanajam tamaha. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha. This is the first verse, I believe, which Bhagavan Ramana picked. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha. Okay. Bhaktya Tvananyaya Shakyaha Aham Yevam Vidhodjuna. Yasmanno Dvijate Loko Lokanno Dvijate Chayaha. Yeah. The selection was from chapter 7, 2 verses. Chapter 8, only 1 verse. Chapter 9, 1 verse. Chapter 10, 3 verses. 11, 1 verse. Chapter 12, 1 verse. Yeah. Now part 4, which takes care of the third shakka. Earlier, part 1 was 12, part 2 was 10, that was 22, and part 3 was what? 9. So that ended with 31. Thus 32 is starting here, ending with 42. This is the Dwichavarimshat 42. 32nd verse. As in the serial, Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetramicha Vidiyate. This is the asterisk mark, I'll explain. Then Kshetrajnam Chatimam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram. Yada Sarvagatam Sokmyat Akasham Nopalipyate. Mana Pamanayo Stulyaha. See, I had difficulty in reading what I have written. This transliteration of Sanskrit is really difficult. Transliteration of Sanskrit in any other vernacular also, into Telugu, into Hindi, etc., it becomes difficult. Mana Pamanayo Stulyaha Tulyo Mitrari Pakshayoho Nirmana Moha Jita Sanga Dosha. Na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha. Yes shastra vidimrutsugya vartate kamakarataha. Sattvanurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hruddeshe dhyunadhishtati. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata. See, people will think the 65th and 66th verses of the Gita of the 18th chapter are very important and very profound. Apparently, Bhagavan Ramana did not think that. What he said is, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hruddeshe Dhyunadhishtati, 61st verses of the 18th chapter, and the 62nd verse, Tameva Sharanam Gaccha. You take refuge in him only. Sarvabhavena Bharata. In whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever you say, whatever are your pursuits, Sarvabhavena. Tameva Sharanam Gaccha. Tameva. Tam Ishwaram. Tam Kitayam. Sharanam Gaccha. Take refuge in him was the Prabodha. Now this asterisk marks. Can you shift up the text, Ramana? In some texts of the Gita, 13th chapter starts with a query by Arjuna. And in some other texts, this query is omitted. In Bhagavan Ramana's selection, it is to be assumed that the first verse in the 13th chapter is by Arjuna, which reads thus. Why I said this is, from the Ramana Sahityam, when I picked it up, the number of that verse was indicative that Arjuna started the 13th chapter. Arjuna's query was Arjuna Bhavacha, Prakrutim Purusham Cheva, Kshetram Kshetrajnameva cha, Etat Veditum Ichchami, Jnanam Jnayam cha Keshava. What it means is, Hey Keshava, I would like to know what is meant by Prakriti and what is meant by Purusha and what is Kshetram, what is Kshetrajna. And I would like to know this together with Jnanam and Jnayam. What is Jnanam and what is Jnayam? O Keshava, Prakriti, Purusha, and also Kshetram and Kshetrajna. These I would like to know together with Jnanam and Jnayam. This is what Arjuna has said. Okay, that is the end of part 4. Now, selection in the part 4 from chapter 13, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga Yoga, 4 verses. All those words, that star mark kind of. Chapter 14, 1 verse. Chapter 15, 2 verses. 16, 1 verse. 17, 1 verse. 18, 2 verses. This is how the selection was. Now over to Belagiri. You kindly read perhaps the next 2 pages and hand it over to somebody else who can read some more pages. Yeah.
Astu, dhanyavad. The message of part 1, from chapter 2, verse 1. Sanjay Uvacha Tam Tada
Kripayavishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha. Yeah.
Sanjaya said to him who was sad and thus overwhelmed by compassion, whose eyes were filled with tears and showed distress, Krishna spoke these words. Arjuna was drowned in an ocean of compassion. His eyes were full of tears. He was sorrowful, disinterested in waging the war with his sinful cousins, and was even prepared, unarmed, to be killed by the armed enemy. In bracket, see chapter 1, verse 46. That is Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, 46th verse. Bracket over. Arjuna, a great warrior, after ordering his charioteer Bhagavan to place his chariot amidst the 2 armies, was overwhelmed by what he saw when Bhagavan placed him facing both the opposing armies. He did not want victory and did not want the kingdom. He forgot the bitter travails that the Pandavas had undergone for 13 years, and he even forsook his Kshatriya dharma. To such a person who was in great conflict with himself, Bhagavan decided to bring some sense of purpose. Bhagavan Vyasa, through Sanjaya, introduced in this verse Bhagavan as Madhusudana. Adi Shankaracharya, in bracket, the Bhashyakara, comments on this term as Sarvesham Dehe Madhuvata Ishtatavata Madhuhu Ahankaraha Asti. Kindly correct me if my pronunciation is wrong. Sarvesham Dehe Madhuvata Ishtatavata Madhuhu Ahankara Ha Asti. Tasya Gnanasina Sudayati iti Madhusudanaha. Meaning that.
Balaji, can I please read this?
Yeah, please, Nanaji.
Forward, you please leave the transliteration to me. It's easy for me to go through that.
Yes.
What Bhashyakara said was regarding Madhusudana, Sarvesham Dehe Madhuvat Ishtatvat Madhuho Ahankaraha Aste Tasya Jnanasina Sodayati iti Madhusudanaha. The meaning, etc., you can read.
Yeah. Meaning that in all beings there is madhu, that is honey, Ahankara, which is very dear to the beings. Bhagavan is described by the Bhashyakara as the one who would, with the sword of knowledge, destroy this Madhu or Ahankara. In one word, Bhagavan Vyasa introduced Lord Krishna as Jagat Guru in this verse. No wonder that Bhagavan Ramana liked this verse, which is the first of the Dwichavarimshat, 42 verses, and the curtain raiser. Now from the chapter.
Can you roll it backwards, Ramana? That 146, I think. Does anybody remember that verse? Yeah, further, roll it back. Here, this 146. Gita chapter 1, 46th verse. Does anybody remember the verse?
I have the Bhagavad Gita, Nanaji. I don't remember, but I can read from the text.
Yeah. Please read. It's better to recapitulate at times like this.
Yeah. Yadi mam pratikaram shas. Shamyatam, I'm not even. Brahmaraji, could you please read my.
Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dharta rashtrarane hanyuhu tanme kshemataram bhavet.
Very right. Yeah. Please go forward, Balaji.
Yes. This is from chapter 2, verse 16. No, chapter 2, verse 16.
Yeah, the verse reads, Nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate tataha ubhayorapi drishtantaha tvanayos tattvadarshibhihi. Yeah.
That which is not has no being. That which is has no non-being. I repeat, that which is not has no being. That which is has no non-being. Of these two who see clearly and well are the actual seers. Being means truth, knowledge, and infinite existence. And this is Sat. This is beautifully mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Non-being means that which has no independent existence, that which is not true, and that which at best is only apparent is Asat. The being refers to the essence of all of us, refers to Atma or Brahma, all of which mean the same, that is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Several examples for ease of understanding can be given thus. Number 1, the mirage, water, the mirage. Kshamyatam. The mirage, water is Asat, while the effulgent sun is Sat, in bracket, relatively. Thus, the mirage, which is Asat, has no being, whereas the sun, which is Sat, has no non-being. Neither did the sun create the mirage. However, in the presence of sunshine and owing to environmental effects, the mirage appears, and it is only apparent. None can ever quench one's thirst by drinking the mirage waters, while all can either enjoy or get scorched by the pleasing or hot sun. Number 2, The snake on the rope is asat, while the rope is sat. Thus, the snake which is asat has no being, whereas the rope which is sat has no non-being. Again, the rope did not create the snake, which only appears on the rope, obscuring the rope which is sat and also presenting itself as sat. The real substance, the rope, is not available for our cognition as long as we see the snake. So too is the world of all objects and beings, in bracket, which is like the snake on the rope, bracket over, which appears as real while simultaneously covering our vision of Brahma. As long as the world appears as true to us, so long Brahma will not be available for our realization. Number 3, another example can be the blue sky or space, which is only apparent and as though obscures the space. The space or sky indeed is black and not blue. The blueness is the apparent play by the sun and our atmosphere. The blue sky in the bracket or the sky's blueness bracket over is asat and the space is sat. Number 4, yet another example can be the ghost on the post. What indeed is present is the post, but due to ignorance, we perceive the ghost on the post and would be struck with fear and anxiety. The post did not undergo any modification to appear as the ghost for our cognition. Here again, as long as the ghost appears as real, so long will the post, as though hide itself behind the ghost and is not available for our perception. Here, the ghost is asat and the post is sat. Point number 5, a ready example is our body with its matter envelopments, mind, senses, intellect, and ahankara, all of which individually and collectively are asat, present themselves as real to us and the real we, the Atma, which is Sat, is hidden from us. I repeat, point number 5, a ready example is our body with its matter envelopments, mind, senses, intellect, and ahankara, all of which individually and collectively are asat, present themselves as real to us and the real we, the Atma, which is Sat, is hidden from us.
Hari Om. Does anybody in this context remember a sloka from Atma Bodha? Atma Bodha we have covered, I think, at least once.
Yeah, we did two other times revision.
Yeah, I think it was
Sarparaju.
That
sloka on Sarparaju?
No, I think it was Savita Madam who earlier was saying, though I am doing some sadhana, doing japa, etc. My sadhana perhaps is inadequate. What do I do? That is when I said abhyasena kaunteya, etc. Right? You remember that? Now, if you people have been reading the Atma Bodha, readily you will be able to pick that particular verse in this context from the Atma Bodha.
Is it that Rajavatsada, that thing that says
No. As long as you think you are the mind, senses, intellect, ahankara, you are the body, okay? Atma is hidden from you. In this context, as long as you see the snake, the rope is hidden from you. As long as you see the snake, rope is hidden from you. As long as you perceive the ghost and get fear-stricken, the post is not available to you. It is only the ghost. As long as I'm giving you the input, as long as yavat, that's from the Atmavoda. Yavat satyam jagat bhati shuktika
Chakura.
rajatam tavan
Yavanna
najnayate
jnayate
brahma
Brahma.
sarva adhishtanam advayam. That advayam brahma you will not see as long as yavat satyam jagat bhati. As long as this world is deluding you to be real, which is asat. The world is asat. Okay, it is only apparent. It is mithya jagat. And tavan najnayate brahma sarva adhishtanam advayam. Okay. Yeah. We can go to the next page.
Yeah, Bela, I will take over. I think you mean.
Okay, good.
Bhagavan, through this verse, was trying to instill the wisdom in Arjuna to enable him appreciate that those arrayed in the battlefield cannot be killed. Only that their bodies, which are all perishable by nature, can be eliminated in the war. In the classical synthesis of all on the battlefield, Bhagavan was leading Arjuna to know that they all are a part of the world, which in itself is only apparent. The Bhashyakara in his Atmabodha presents a beautiful verse in this connection. Yavat satyam jagad bhati shuktikara jatam yatha tavan najnayate brahma sarvadhishthanamadvayam. Meaning that as long as the world shines as real and true, like even the silver on the mother of pearl, so long will we not know Brahma, which is the basis of everything and which is one without a second. Bhagavan Ramana had asat buddhi in respect of the Jagat and sat buddhi in respect of himself, that is Atma or Brahma, and that is why this verse was dear to him, because he was a seer, the Tattvadarshi. Verse 3, this is from chapter 2, 17th verse. Avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati. Understand that which pervades everything is indestructible. None can cause destruction of that which is indeclinable. Sat, as mentioned by Bhagavan in verse 2, that is, see verse 2, chapter 2, verse 16, is Trikala Abhatita Vastu, meaning that it cannot be negated in any of the three periods of time, Bhuta, Bhavishya and Vartamana Kalas. In fact, it is the very cause of our notion of time and hence beyond it. Sat is before and also after time. Further, it is the truth of everything and the entire universe, known, yet to be known, and unknown, is pervaded by it. Ena sarvamidam tatam. Sat is indeed avinashi, indestructible, because the very agent and agent's implements of destruction are tatam, pervaded by Sat. And as such, neither the agent nor his implements, like the sword, can eliminate Sat. I will repeat this one. Sat is indeed Avinashi, indestructible, because the very agent and agents implements of destruction are tatam, that is pervaded by Sat. And as such, neither the agent nor his implements like the sword can eliminate Sat. Otherwise, it will be like saying that the sword, which is in space and pervaded by space, can cut asunder the very space which accommodates the sword and which also is the cause of the sword. The very agent, karta, and also the implement are the apparent asat effects of Sat, which is their very cause. It ought to have been Bhagavan Ramana's second nature to appreciate what is revealed by this verse, because all along his life, he lived the truth of the verse, and as such, he loved it. Verse number 4, this is from chapter 2, 20th verse. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. It is neither born nor does it ever die. Having been now, it is not that it will not be in future. It is unborn, everlasting, permanent, and ancient. It is not killed, even though the body is eliminated. That which is before time is never born, and that which is aware of time and will be after time can never die. The na in the first line is applicable to mrityeva also, meaning that the verse would read na jayate na mrityeva. It is sat.
Mriyateva.
Mriyateva, sorry. The na in the first line is applicable to mriyateva also, meaning that the verse would read na jayate na mriyateva. It is sat and hence will be in all periods of time. No birthday, because it is even before time was not. It is everlasting, owing to its being the very witness of time, and hence permanent and ancient. The very body and the space occupied by the body are pervaded by it, and hence it cannot be eliminated by eliminating the body. Take the case of a pot which is in space. If someone breaks the pot and claims that he broke the space along with the pot, that person will be laughed at, because the very skin of the pot is space, and also that the pot is in space. That is, further, what is inside the pot is also space, and also the pot owes its existence to space, which is its cause. This verse is like a free-flowing continuation of its earlier verse, and as such was dear to Bhagavan Ramana. Verse number 5 from chapter 2, the 24th verse. Achedyoyamadahyyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha nitya sarvagatasthanu achaloyam sanatanaha. This, that is the self, cannot be cut, burned, drowned, or dried. It is changeless, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and eternal. Sat is Atma, and this was evident through the verses in the Gita earlier to this. Now in this verse, Bhagavan gives hints to realize Atma by giving some pointers. It would be wrong to say that Bhagavan described the attributes of Atma because it is nirguna and hence attributeless. Atma cannot be cut asunder, that is by a sword, a derivative of earth. Thus the agent is the earth. It cannot be burned, that is agent is fire. It cannot be wetted, agent is water. And it cannot be dried up, agent is air. It is everlasting. It is present everywhere, and it is stable, unmoving, and ancient. Thus, the four elements, earth, fire, water, and air, cannot harm Atma. And Atma is aware of both space and time. In fact, it is the very basis for even these two. So, it is depicted that Atma is beyond the influence of the five elements and even time. What else beyond these six are known to us? All other things and beings are only products of these six. When the very elements and time cannot touch Atma, what to speak of their effects? Thus, nothing, no agent can injure Atma. Thus, Bhagavan reinforces the knowledge that Atma cannot be killed, and hence, Ashocyananvashocastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasu nagatasuscha nanushochanti panditaha. That is chapter 2, verse 11, meaning that Arjuna was grieving for that which does not deserve any grief. This model and negation thereof was presented by Bhagavan even in the preceding verse, that is the 23rd verse of chapter 2, which reads thus: Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapaha, na shoshayati marutaha. Weapons do not cut the self, nor does fire burn, water does not wet it, and wind does not dry. It is said that Bhagavan Ramana happily went through a surgical procedure on his body without any anesthesia. Is this not a testimony to his firm adherence to the above verses and liking them? Verse 6, this is from chapter 2, the 27th verse. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmada pariharyete natvam shochitum arhasi. For that which is born, death is certain, and for that which is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, you should not grieve over that which cannot be altered. Verses of this nature are quite a few in the Gita, and they tend perhaps to highlight the avidya. Avidya, janma, kama, karma, mrityu, janma, cycles of samsara. These verses of this nature are quite a few in the Gita, and they tend perhaps to highlight the avidya, janma, kama, karma, mrityu, and janma, cycles of samsara. This verse, without any shade of doubt, proclaims that punarjanma is definite, of course, as long as avidya torments. This verse also hints at karma phala, owing to which is another janma after birth, after death. Repeated cycles of samsara are certain for the one who has no atma jnana. By the selection of this verse as a part of his favorites, Bhagavan Ramana was perhaps urging his devotees to develop a commitment to come out of the clutches of samsara by steadfast adherence to Atma Vidya. Verse number 7 from chapter 2, the 55th verse. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atmanyevatmana tushtaha sthita prajnastadochyate. When one gives up all desires as they occur in the mind, O Partha, happy in oneself, by oneself alone, that one is said to be of ascertained knowledge. When Arjuna sought the lakshanas of a jnani, that is a sthita prajna, Bhagavan gave him to understand that the sthita prajna conforms totally to the following. 1. All desires sprouting in the mind of the sthita prajna are totally eliminated without any reminder. This state is attained by assimilation of the essence of Sat and Asat, by proper means of knowledge, by understanding, and a life fruitfully committed to rediscovery of freedom or moksha. I will repeat this. Number 1, how is the sthita prajna conforming to this? 1 is all desires sprouting in the mind of the sthita prajna are totally eliminated without any reminder. This state is attained by assimilation of the essence of Sat and Asat, by proper means of knowledge, by understanding, and a life fruitfully committed to rediscovery of freedom or moksha. Second, the sthita prajna is happy in himself, by himself, and no external inputs are necessary for that happiness. The external world can neither add to his happiness, nor can his happiness be diminished. The sthita prajna's happiness is uninfluenced by even the deepest of sorrows, and that happiness does not get a boost by any sudden rush of an ecstasy of joy from outside. Third, the sthita prajna conforms to the above lakshanas owing to his attainment of his true nature, which is happiness. Bhagavan Ramana in his days was a living example of sthita prajna, and it is natural for him to like this verse. Because his true nature was the essence of this verse, naturally he loved it. Atmanastu kamaya idam shlokam priyam bhavati. Verse number 8 is from chapter 2, the 71st.
Ramana, Hari Om.
Yes, Nanna.
Find out whether anybody else would like to read a few pages.
Yes, we have another 10 minutes, 9 minutes. Does anybody else want to read? Okay, I'll continue, Nanna. Verse
Why
number...
why no gentleman is coming forward to read? Amongst the 16, there is no gentleman?
I think there are, but maybe they are busy otherwise.
Do you want me to read, Dr. Brahmara? Oh, you're okay. Or you
There
go
are
ahead.
gentlemen in this group.
Anybody who would like to read, please read slowly, clearly, so that the entire audience can easily pick up what is read. Please go ahead.
Verse number 8, chapter 2, 71st verse. Dr. Mara, I will just chant the verses and then you can read the English meaning. Vihaya kamanyas sarvan umamscharati nisprihaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadigacchati. Having given up all binding desires, that person who moves around, devoid of longing, without the sense of false I and mine, gains peace. In the 64th verse of chapter 2 of the Gita, Bhagavan said the essence of the present verse, which reads thus: Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran Atmavasyair vidheyatma prasadhamadhigacchati. When one is free from raga, that is like, and dvesha, dislike, even though the senses contact their objects, that person with a mastered mind and senses under control, attains tranquility. Yeah, you go ahead, Dr. Mara.
Thus, for attaining peace, the requisites are sublimation of desires which are bothersome and binding. The other harmless desires may be there, like even Bhagavan Ramana wanting to answer his devotees' questions. Another example of non-binding desire is, I would like to have idlis for breakfast. And when indeed puris are brought, the idli wanting person eats the puris happily, with neither a murmur in the mind, nor any longing for the idlis, and nor even any sense of loss. As long as the mind is so long, as long as the mind is, so long would desire sprout. It is the nature of the any sense of loss. Sorry, it is the nature of the mind to desire. But the important thing is not to get bound by the desire. Just watch the desire fulfilled or otherwise. Secondly, the false sense of I-ness.
Sorry, Dr. Mara, I think there is some background noise coming up. If you can.
You go ahead. I'll 1 second. Okay.
So another example of a non-binding desire is, I'm just repeating it, I would like to have idlis for breakfast, but when indeed puris are brought, the idli wanting person eats the puris happily, with neither a murmur in the mind, nor any longing for the idlis, and nor even any sense of loss. As long as the mind is, so long would desires sprout. It is the nature of the mind to desire. But the important thing is not to get bound by the desire or desires. Just watch the desire or desires fulfilled or otherwise. Secondly, the false sense of I-ness and also the sense of my-ness are required to be totally dropped by understanding their futility and also their obstructive nature in the path of progress for freedom. This condition is driven by a mastered mind and, as a corollary, with the supreme control of the sense organs. Bhagavan Ramana was an embodiment of the above lakshanas, which were very dear to him, and as such, the verse 8, that is chapter 2, 71st verse, was dear too. Verses 9 and 10, this is from chapter 3, 17th and 18th verse, the verses. Yastvat maratireva syat atmatriptasya manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate. For that person who would delight in the self, who is satisfied with the self, contented with the self alone, there is nothing to be done. Verse 18 of chapter 3. Naiva tasya krite nartho na krite neha kaschana na chasya sarva bhuteshu kaschitardavya pashrayah. For that person, there is indeed no purpose in doing or not doing anything. Nor does that person depend on anyone or anything whatsoever. Pursuit of any activity is always with a purpose in mind. It may be an accomplishment which is dear, a benefit much sought after, a recognition in the society, a kind of security, an insurance for food and shelter, taking care of a family or someone dear, supporting some hapless, and such like. All these beneficial results render a person happy, and that is what anyone seeks when undertaking any task. However, that person who fully conforms to these two verses has no purpose in mind, and hence nothing is required to be done for him. Tasya karyam na vidyate. Karyam means Shastra Vihita Karma, that is, a work which is ordained by the Shastra. And the Shastra is for the ignorant person. However, when one is happy with himself, by himself, and in himself, that one is said to have erased all ignorance. The Shastra has no purpose for such a person, and hence no karyam for that person. Not that the person does not do anything, but that the person need not do anything for happiness, because that person rediscovered the happiness which is himself. Such a person does everything out of happiness, not for it. These verses as though remind us of verse 7, chapter 2, 55th verse. Bhagavan Ramana visibly demonstrated total adherence to the above two verses, which is dear to one, becomes the favorite of him.
Hari Om.
Sorry, and what is dear to one? Let me read that again. Bhagavan Ramana visibly demonstrated total adherence to the above two verses, and what is dear to one becomes the favorite of him. Yes,
Hari Om,
Nanna.
Ramana.
Yes, Nanna.
Does anybody remember this 2-55?
Is that Prajahati Yada Kaman?
Very right. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shall we stop here? It is 6:30 by my time here.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
So we'll
so.
continue verse 11 tomorrow.
Yeah. What I would request all of you to do is, you can perhaps substitute completing reading of this in the next 2 or 3 days. In the next 2 or 3 days, you will be able to run through this.
Yeah.
You have already done about 10 pages, and this has got some nearly 40 pages. 3-4 days, you will be able to complete. And it's easy for you because you've been through the entire Gita once, and you have started doing Manana, and you have successfully done that up to the 10th chapter. It will be pretty easy for all of you to appreciate the import of what Bhagavan Ramana has said. Continue this. Now, after this, after you have completed reading, in case you have any doubt, which I suppose will not be, Ramana will tell me, and we will meet once again. I will be with you to clear your doubts if I can. Right?
Okay.
Is that okay, Ramana?
Yes, Nanna.
Okay. So, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Man Kashchedu Bhavate, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, everybody.
Hari Om, Nanna.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Ramana, thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om, Dhanyavad, Nanaji.